Yo, what is going on today, guys? I'm back here for another video. This is going to be a video about my tournament run in the Chaos League Pocket Saturday, which happened obviously on Saturday, this last Saturday. As I'm recording this, it is Monday. Yeah, I mean, I got sixth place with Venusaur. I had a super good run, surprisingly. I kind of chose Venusaur at last minute over some meta decks I was thinking about going. I'll go over that also in the video. But yeah, like a super good run. Very happy getting sixth place. Obviously, winning would have been super cool. But it's my first top 8 that I ever had in Pokemon TCG Pocket, and it's the third tournament I've ever entered. So I just thought it was a really cool run. I just wanted to show it on the video. Like, I already had the gameplay recorded. And yeah, let's get into the decks and why I ended up choosing Venusaur. So this is the Venusaur build I took. This is the one I actually made the video on also. And before I get into this build, basically I want to talk about the other decks I was thinking about using. So I was thinking about using Celebi Wheezing. The thing about that deck is it has a very bad matchup into the fighting types, obviously, because they have the weakness. And with the rise of like the Golem deck popping around, I ended the tournament with Celebi Wheezing like a couple days before this one. And I didn't do too good. Like, I had a good matchup in Mewtwo and Pikachu and Celebi, but like all the other decks didn't feel too good for me. So I kind of like felt like choosing a deck that just was better overall. So my next option was Gyarados, which I actually also did a tournament with. Just a classic like Druidigon Greninja one. And obviously the deck is super powerful, one of the best decks in the game. That Pikachu matchup is too bad personally for me. Like, Zebstrika and Electabuzz just like ruined my day playing that deck. And it's so bad that I personally really do not like playing the Gyarados deck in this meta. Only because, like I said, like I don't want to like randomly run into like a couple Pikachus and then like lose a tournament because that, or get like a really bad placing. So that's why I chose against Gyarados, which actually goes to my third option, which is Pikachu itself, or Pikachu myself. I was gonna play Pikachu. I feel like Pikachu is super good position, or super like the position of Pikachu is like super good right now into the meta. Low key possibly could be one of like the best deck, just because I feel like Pikachu has like a case of being one of the best decks right now, just because it's so good in the Gyarados matchup. Although that Golem matchup is pretty rough, so I don't know. Like, all the top decks, I don't even know which one is the best anymore because they all have like a super bad matchup. But I decided last minute not to play Pikachu, and it's literally not because Pikachu, I didn't like think Pikachu was bad. It's like that Golem matchup was something I was thinking about, but at the end of the day, I was like, at the end of the day, I have not personally played Pikachu a lot. I don't think it's the hardest deck to play. I just kind of like felt like playing something else, which leads me to Celebi Superior. Literally, the only thing I say about this deck is that I never draw Servine every time I play the deck online. And I didn't want to lose because of that, so I just decided against it. I just, the consistency is super bad for me. Like, my luck is terrible when I play the deck, so that's why I didn't play Celebi, which leads me to my favorite deck. I was like, Venusaur with the addition of Mew helps with the bad matchups like Mew EX and the Fire decks. And then Venusaur is surprisingly good. I've always thought Venusaur is pretty good against Pikachu myself. Venusaur is pretty good into Gyarados as it can one-shot Drudigon. And after one-shotting Drudigon, if Venusaur is at 4 HP, Gyarados cannot one-shot me, and usually they don't play Geo, but even with Geo, they can't one-shot me still. So I feel like it's super good position into the Gyarados matchup. I think it's like an even matchup, to be honest. It all like kind of like depends on who gets set up first. The fire decks are really bad, but like then like the Golem matchup, for example, is like super good. So yeah, I chose Venusaur, and I surprisingly got sixth place. I kind of like chose as like a meme pick. I'm like, oh, you know what? I try hard at like the last 2 tournaments I entered. I didn't do good. Like the Scolipede, I got like 60th. The Gyarados, I got 33rd. I was like, let me just play Venusaur, man. Just let me just have fun for like a tournament. And I ended up getting my best placement. So here we are. This is the build. The only thing I'll change about the build is probably take out the potion and put a leaf in, or possibly a Geo, or maybe a second X speed. I'm gonna be experimenting with Leaf personally in another tournament with this exact same deck list. And yeah, I mean, that basically is the reason I ended up on Venusaur. I feel like Venusaur is actually like kind of like sleeper good against everything. Like, once you get him set up. And I don't know, I just really like the grind games with Venusaur and Erica, like long lasting games, not just like games that like last instantly or like end instantly. And yeah, basically that's it. Now I'm gonna go to the games, and I guess before each of the games, I'll basically like showcase or like show you the deck I'm facing against real quick, point out some like notable stuff, like if they have a red card, how many Sabrinas they have. And yeah, let's get to the matches and let's see how I got sixth place. Yeah, so here is the Pikachu deck I faced in the very first match. The Magnemite and Magneton ratio of only 1 is kind of surprising. I feel like usually people run them at 2-2. But only one Sabrina and one Giovanni, so nothing like too scary. It's just a classic Pikachu Raichu deck, and yeah, let's see what happens. So I start this game off with an Execute, and obviously Executor EX going first is super broken. But unfortunately, I used my Professor Research. I did not draw Execute EX, but I draw a Venusaur, which doesn't do anything obviously until I draw Ivysaur. But he had Electabuzz, and he was talking about Bulbasaur in the back line, and I said, you know what? With the X speed, I'm just gonna send Bulbasaur in and then knock this Electabuzz down in 2 turns. Because he would not be able to knock me out unless he X speeded and Lieutenant Surged with the Raichu. And if he did that, he did that. But he actually didn't have that play though. He just puts in a Pikachu and attacks me for 20 damage, but that doesn't mean anything. I ended up top decking a Professor Research again. I get a super good draw of both Ivysaur and Executor EX. Obviously, I evolve Ivysaur. He doesn't have a red card, or they don't have a red card, so I didn't decide to evolve Executor EX in just yet because if they Sabrinaed me, I didn't want to like put it in for free and let them do damage to it, so I just kind of like saved it in case they. So whenever the Execute that gets Sabrinaed in, I could just put it on that. But we knock him off Ivysaur. He doesn't really have anything after that because all his energy was on Electabuzz, Era, and the Pikachu. So game 2, obviously we go second, and we have Execute and Executor EX in our hand. It's just a godlike scenario. And they start with both Pikachu EXs obviously in front, and because we are going second, obviously we have the energy advantage, and that's just super good for us. They won't be able to attack us. We evolve straight away when we can on our next turn. And we just build up Venusaur in the back. We start doing Executor flips, like obviously, and we unfortunately don't get like lucky. We get the tells on this very first flip, which does put Pikachu in range of actually getting knocked out obviously by a heads coin flip. But we're setting up Ivysaur in the back, so as long as we draw a Venusaur, we're just going to be able to sweep the end game. If Executor EX goes down, he only does 60 damage, he doesn't have a full backline. We have the Erica to hold that up basically the full anyways. The Mew EX doesn't do anything in this matchup, so I just keep it on my hand for now. Hopefully we get a heads. We don't get a heads, so pretty bad because it's going to take 2 more knockouts unless we get lucky the next turn. But he actually puts Raichu in for some reason. Uses Lieutenant Surge, which I think is one of the biggest misplays he could have done, because now he loses, or I don't know what their pronouns are, but they do that, so they lose every single one of their energy, so they can't attack me guaranteed next round unless they like X speed in a Pikachu, or like a Magnemite. Actually, I don't even know if Magnemite has 1 energy attack, but yeah, I think they threw doing this. I think they should just attack with a Pikachu EX and banked on me not drawing the head flip. Because now I'm in a situation where I'm just like building up Ivysaur in the back line. Executor's gonna do as much damage as he can, and then by the time I knock something out, Venusaur should just be able to finish the game. So I really do think they misplayed huge going for the Raichu damage, and in a position where Raichu could not one shot. I think they should have waited another turn, banked on me getting another Tells with Executor EX, and then sending in Raichu to get the guaranteed knockout while I don't have Venusaur up. I ended up putting the Mew EX down just in case I got Sabrinaed because I had the X speed, where obviously Mew EX is not threatened by KO by anything besides the Raichu, but they didn't have enough energy anyways. We get really unlucky actually with the tail flips in this thing, but eventually we were able to swap out for free, so I just put the other Executor EX in because we still don't have Venusaur, just so we don't guarantee like lose or give them like 2 free lives. You get another Tails, but at least it's enough to knock it out finally. And their Pikachu EX comes in as it's the only thing they can attack. All we have to do is land a heads, and it's GG's for us. And we even have the Erica also, so we can attack like twice more if Executor EX. And we have Venusaur, so in this position, there's literally nothing our opponent could do. It's kind of just like a checkmate. We Erica up, so obviously we don't faint. We can get the guaranteed 2 more coin flips. But Executor finally clutches up. No, I'm just kidding. The opponent concedes. And that is the very first game of the tournament. Not the best luck of Executor, but we still won, so it's a W either way. So the second match was against a pretty standard Celebi EX superior. The only difference is a lot of people used to only run one execute and then two Snibies. This person was doing the opposite. So it basically, they had like a less consistent chance of actually getting superior out. And if I did knock out the Snivy, that would be pretty bad for them. And yeah, it's just one Sabrina and our red cards again. It was pretty classic, and let's watch the matches. So now we're on match 2. Totally didn't forget to record like the first minute of the first game. But basically, we had 2 progressive researchers and an egg out. We did not draw the Executor EX, unfortunately. But we had the whole Venusaur package, and we drew into another egg. With the X speed, we were able to put him in the active spot. Let him be a sacrifice to build up this Venusaur. So even if he does land a heads, we can at least have Venusaur with 3 energy do the 60 damage attack. And they have the Sabrina, of course. Ivysaur goes in. At this point, I'm praying that the Executor EX does not land a heads, obviously, because we don't want to take that much damage. We have the Erica if he lands a 40. We have 2 Ericas if he lands a 40. And yeah, at least we can start attacking a Venusaur. Executor EX is so far at 120 HP, so as long as he doesn't heal up, we can 2-shot it with Venusaur once Venusaur goes in. We draw Mewtwo EX, which is not bad in this matchup, actually, because obviously if we copy Celebi's ability, is pretty cool. But we're not going to be able to like put the energy on it anytime soon, so I decided to just keep it in my hand for now. We have Venusaur. I'm also hoping for him not to land another heads, and of course they do, so we take the max amount of damage. But we do have another Erica, a potion, and obviously Venusaur's ability. I choose just to do the potion and then attack a Venusaur because they are not using a Geo from what I remember. And just by doing the attack and the potion, we are at the 160 threshold, so they need 4 coin flips to be able to knock us out. The Erica wouldn't really have done anything, so I would save it for when we take more damage. And yeah, now it's a gamble, and I'm praying that they only land 2 heads the most. Like, this is exactly what I was thinking during this match in my head. They land the first one, I get scared. Land the second one. Thankfully, they only get the first 2 because I was shivering on my boots. Obviously, I'm not trying to lose any matches. But now with the Erica and obviously Venusaur's attack, we do get into the threshold of 100. So as long as they don't land more than 2 heads again with 5 coin flips, we guaranteed win this game. Because I don't think they're going to swap out to anything else. They're not going to be able to do enough damage to us. And yeah, they put the 5th energy on Celebi. And it's all down to the first or another gamble. After surviving another nuke from Celebi, again, we win the first game, and I cannot believe we actually won this first game. Their Celebi luck was honestly pretty bad. This is the exact reason I did not play Celebi myself in this tournament. So moving on to game 2, we are going first with the God combo of obviously Egg and Egg EX in our hand. Not only that, but we draw a second one, so if we actually do draw a second execute, we can go into that possibly if we don't draw the Ivysaur. But obviously we go first, so we evolve him on our next turn and we attack. After having a pretty bad performance in the first game, he decides to clutch up and land a heads on Celebi, which is very good for us. They X-speed out, put their own Executor EX in, and they do get the first attack, so it's in a weird position where like they have more damage on me, but if I just still land 2 coin flips, like 2 heads, and they only land tails, we're still in this one. But they actually do, I think this is low-key a misplay. They Sabrina the Bulbasaur in, they do land the head, which actually is super good for them. But now their Celebi is 1 heads away from getting knocked out, and my Executor doesn't take any damage, and I get to attack them first. So as much as I didn't want to lose Bulbasaur in that situation, they wasted their only Sabrina, and we still have Executor EX at full health, and then he actually manages to land a second heads, and we have 2 Ericas in our hand, so I'm actually feeling super good about the position we are in now. And obviously, you see they land a tails, putting us in an even better position. We just heal straight back up. But I actually top deck a Sabrina, and in my mind, I cannot take the chance of getting 2 tails, letting Celebi build up to 4 energy, possibly 5. So I Sabrina, I go for the 50-50. If I land the heads, I probably just win the game. If not, kind of sucks. We land the heads, Executor EX clutches up, knocks out Celebi EX, and all they have is this Executor EX that I'm totally not worried about. We have 2 Ericas. They haven't used a single Erica yet, so they got pretty unlucky with the draws. They do finally... Nope, just kidding. They land the tails again. And yeah, we're just in a super good position at this point. We have the Ericas. They're trying to take 2 heads to be able to knock us out. And we do finally get the tails after getting like 3 very lucky heads. But like I said, we're guaranteed to knock him out. He ends up swapping out for Execute. Can't even attack us because he has no energy. Use it all to retreat. And we land another heads. Executor EX straight clutches this game. Straight soloed this game, by the way. The only thing that I ever attacked was a single Executor EX. And yeah, I love him, and on to game 3. So the third match was actually against Mewtwo EX. I was actually pretty worried going into this just because I don't think Venusaur has the best Mewtwo EX matchup. But yeah, he really just had one of a lot of stuff. Like he had 1 Giovanni, 1 Sabrina, 1 blue. Thankfully, again, no red cards. It was just a standard Mewtwo EX deck. And yeah, let's go to the games. So out of all the matchups I could get in this tournament, Mewtwo EX is like the one after the fire decks that I really did not want to play against. Fortunately, we get a very good hand once again with obviously Executor EX and Execute. So I'm feeling pretty good. Not only that, but we go second, which is super good personally against the Mewtwo deck. Just because if they do get Gardevoir straight on line, they don't have enough energy actually to do the 150 loops right away. They do take an additional turn than going second. So that is like one good aspect. And they ended up using an X speed, swapping in obviously Mewtwo EX, and just building the engineer. And then we get a godlike heads actually on Mewtwo EX. Executor EX is still clutching up, you know, showcasing why he is that guy after the first game, which he was very lackluster in. But we get hit for 50. I could carry less because he can't do the loop anyways. We land another heads, knock him out, super lucky. And we have the Mew EX in the background, so like by the time he knocks out the second Executor, Mew EX just comes in and one-shots the Mewtwo. So again, those 2 heads back-to-back guarantees us the win. Like no matter what he does, like he cannot beat us now. And he couldn't even attack because he didn't have Gardevoir. So we Erica back to full health, so he has to knock us out using a Geo. We just pulled Mewtwo EX, or not Mewtwo EX, but I said Mew EX once again. And we just go coin flips. Doesn't matter where we get. We do end up getting the heads, which is cool. I mean, if we get another one with Executor EX, you know, just soloing it with him is like kind of funny, but at the same time, like I said, doesn't matter. And we get the possibly best top deck we could get, XP, just to guarantee us the win. He can't swap out anymore. So XP output Mew EX, very simple, and we one-shot Mewtwo, and that is the first game of the Mewtwo matchup. Probably just super good luck from us, where we had one of the best starts. Executor EX like landing every single heads, you know, obviously is a godlike scenario, and that's why he is one of the best EXs in the game, and that's why I love him. So we are once again in the lucky position of going second with Executor EX, dude, and an Erica. I could not have asked for anything better in this matchup personally. Like, obviously, we have like both the Venusaurs in our hands, so it's a brick, but I really don't care, bro. As long as we have the Executor EX, we are able to stall long enough to get it. So we get this other Execute in my hand, and I actually don't place it down just because I don't want to waste your energy against Sabrina. Because I'd, you know, rather save the energy next round if I actually draw another Pokemon. Which we actually do. We draw Bulbasaur, so I just start stacking up on Bulbasaur. And I'm not in no threaten, and I don't have the second Executor EX, so I just keep the Execute in my hand for now. We finally get a Tails with Executor EX, but after the last game, he's allowed to get a couple of those. And Mew EX is not threatening us as he pulls the Mewtwo EX in the background. But he doesn't evolve in the Curlia yet, so I'm really not scared of this at all. We take the 50 damage. I mean, we have the Erica up to heal it. I decided not even to use the Erica because there's really no point, because he didn't have Curlia online when I took the first 50 damage. And I decided to just save it for an end game with Venusaur. So I'm kind of just like really hoping to top deck an Ivysaur anytime soon. We do get a Pokeball, which gives us Mew EX, and I was like, okay, well, I don't have Ivysaur. Let me just start building Mew EX up, as Mew EX obviously is better. We land a heads, but he only has 90 damage on it. So really doesn't do anything. At least it guarantees him to get knocked out by any single like damage from anything. Which yeah, he eventually goes to 150 on us. And I basically send in my second Executor EX as it's the only thing I have. Mew EX isn't set up. And obviously I don't have Venusaur, so we would instantly lose. A Sabrina is pretty scary in this situation. But it's actually not, because he doesn't have anything set up. He won't be able to do the 150 blast, and we have the X speed. So if he does Sabrina, we just put a Mew EX and then swap back out. But at this point, Executor's just doing so much work for us that I don't even care about that. We actually top deck a second Erica. Obviously, it does not do a single thing for us. I ended up putting the second energy on Executor EX just in case I have to swap out eventually with the X speed and go in the Mew EX. We land another heads. Executor EX is just straight soloing this thing again. Well, obviously the second Executor EX because the other one died, but you know what I mean. Both of them are just carrying our game. We haven't even needed to use Mew EX or Bulbasaur in this round. It was at this point I actually kind of fucked up, because if I didn't put that energy on Executor EX to potentially X speed out in the Mew EX later on in the game, Mew EX would have been set up to knock out this Mewtwo EX. But because I ended up putting on Executor, he had the Giovanni, which puts us in a very poor position and forces me to just concede because there's obviously nothing I could do. So that is a misplay on my part. I should have just stacked it on Mew EX. I shouldn't have gone for the swap play until it was guaranteed. And that's also why I'm going to end up putting a Leaf instead of the potion in my deck. Even though the potion does help in a lot of circumstances, I feel like Leaf would also help just as much. And we start the third game off in a pretty bad position than the rest. We only have Bulbasaur and we're going first, but we actually do draw Execute with the Pokeball. So we're in a position where all we just need to do is end up swapping him in, and then obviously we just do our Executor EX plays. I think our opponent misplayed here. For some reason, he evolved Curlier into the one in the active spot. I have no clue why they did this, and he just gives us the opportunity to just land a coin flip, our heads coin flip of Executor EX and knock it out, and just give us a free thing, like a free thing, a free point. That's what I'm trying to say. I can think of the word. But we get a free point early on because for some reason he puts, I mean, we would have got it if he had evolved anyways, but the fact that we're just knocking out the Curlier and he didn't evolve the back one is just super good for us. He uses the blue, which I don't really care about because if we still land two heads, we still knock them out. And we just Erica back up so they can't 150 us unless they have the Geo again. So I had to use the Erica instead of the Professor Research. Pray they don't have a Geo. We actually do land the heads. And then we're kind of just like praying the draw on the Ivysaur at this point. Because like this Executor is going to go down soon. And unless we draw another Executor EX or Ivysaur, we're actually in a really bad position. So we take the 150 damage. And we actually get a clutch top deck of Erica as he doesn't have Gardevoir out. So that puts us in the threshold of 60. So we can't get knocked out unless he has a Geo. But considering he didn't use Geo last time, he doesn't have Geo, so unless he top sec it, so I think it's worth it than the Professor Research. We stack up Bulbasaur, and we get into a guarantee, or we get into a threshold even if we land a 40, or we are guaranteed to be able to knock him out of 60. So as long as we can draw an Ivysaur, we are in a super good position. He actually Sabrinas us in, puts Bulbasaur, which is even better for us because we use Professor Research, we top deck the Ivysaur, and just like I was saying, we are able to actually just knock out the Mewtwo. We're already guaranteed the win, but I kind of just like put stuff down just because in case I somehow misplay in the situation, like click the wrong button. But Ivysaur comes out, we attack with Ivysaur, obviously 60 HP with 60 damage, gets knocked out. We already had the other Curlier knocked out, and we win game 4. Actually game 3. So my fourth match was against Arcanine Charizard, and I'm not gonna lie, I was shaking in my boots when I first saw this. Yeah, because obviously I'm playing Venusaur. They only had one Sabrina, they had two Giovannis though, which means their fire type's gonna do massive damage against me. And yeah, let's just see how it went. So totally forgot to record the first minute again, but we had I'm pretty sure we went second. We had Execute, we attacked Moltres for 20 damage. Then we landed the heads flip, which is very good. So now whenever that Moltres comes back in, it is just easily knocked out by Executor EX no matter what we flip. He uses the Leaf Sense in the other Moltres. We have the Erica though, so it doesn't matter. We can live one more attack. And we're basically just going to build a Mew EX in the background, so whenever that Charizard does come out, we're in a totally good position against it. We actually land another Heads, which is super crazy. Executive EX is just clutching this bad matchup for us. So now that Moltres is also like vulnerable, bro, to a Mew EX copying its ability, or obviously Executor just landing another Heads, or even if like Ivysaur came in or Venusaur do the 60 damage. And yeah, it's our turn again. We draw Venusaur. We don't have Ivysaur, so I just fully set up Mew EX for when the time comes. Just so next turn, if I need to swap out Executor EX by putting an engine using the X speed, we can. We get the Nether Heads, which is actually just insane. Our head luck this whole set was just crazy. We knock out the Moltres, and now our opponent is in a situation where he can't do anything. He can knock out the Executor EX or Charizard, but then Mew EX would just come in. In this situation, he obviously doesn't have enough energy. He attacks the Executor EX. So we put the energy on it, use the XP to swap in Mew EX, and then obviously we copy its ability and one-shot Charizard, giving us the first win. And honestly, the match I was most scared of. So we start the game off with Mew EX. Not bad, because obviously Mew EX is super good for us in this matchup. Opponent also starts out with non-Moltres in the first active zone. And we have the Pokeball, so as long as we get Execute, we are in a good position, obviously, because we have the Egg EX in our hand. And that's exactly what happens. So very simple, we just build the energy up on Mew. So if we draw the X speed, we save the energy. If not, obviously we use it to retreat, put EX in. And just a couple more head flips, and we can just do the exact same thing as last game. Not only did we get a really good starting hand, our opponent getting that 3 tails with Moltres honestly just put him like so far behind just on the first turn that we're just in such a good position, obviously with the Executor EX already online. And once again, the Executor decides to just be fully charged up, lands another Heads in this matchup. That's like 4, I think, in a row. And I think Executor just got a vendetta against these Moltres, bro, and I'm honestly there for it. So obviously another Inferno Dance, because our opponent actually get more than 0 this time. Or are they going to get screwed over by their own Moltres again after swapping in a new one? And they get only a 1, so I honestly would say they get screwed over. Although Arcanine is online next turn, unless you have an X speed, they can't actually put him into attack. And at that point, we draw Bulbasaur with the whole Ivysaur and Venusaur line obviously in our hand. I basically debate on if I want to put on Mew EX or not, or Bulbasaur. And this is actually where I went wrong. I choose to actually put the energy on Bulbasaur. Later on in this game, you will see, by putting it on Mew EX, I actually would have guaranteed the win a lot earlier, and it would have been way less like scary of our opponent making a comeback. So this is the situation I'm talking about. Basically, we don't land the Heads, and Arcanine attacking doesn't put it weak enough to get knocked out by Venusaur's 3 energy attack. So if we actually had Mew EX and when he knocks out Executor EX, we actually would have been able to copy Arcanine's ability. Obviously, next turn we would have 3 energy on Mew EX, and we would have guaranteed the win. So that is a misplay that I actually do in this game. Fortunately, we're in a position where if we attack Arcanine, it actually knocks itself out. And we also have a Sabrina, so what I end up doing is obviously I evolve into Venusaur because there's no reason not to. And I actually use the Sabrina just to have enough like chip damage in the end game to just not lose. Like I'm swapping out Arcanine, obviously because we can't knock him out. And if Arcanine ever does come back in, we have the first off, if he attacks us, he puts himself low enough, and we also are gonna have the 100 ability or 100 attack energy by the time Arcanine comes back in. He doesn't even have Charizard. He only has 4 energy or 1 energy on Charmeleon. And then if he puts in Moltres, Moltres is just going to get knocked out in 2 turns. And I'm pretty sure at this point he's already used a Leaf. Maybe he still has an X speed. I can't exactly remember. But he'd have to waste a lot of energy, and all it comes down to coin flips at the end of the day. So he puts in Charmeleon, which I feel like is the right answer. If he actually put in Moltres, would have been bad. So now after evolving into Charizard, he still can't even attack us, even with the 3 energy attack, as he only has 1. So he stacks up on Moltres, uses an X speed. I'm pretty sure it's the X speed. No, I guess he stays in Charizard 1 more turn. That's what happens. And after finally using a Leaf, he swaps out Charizard, and basically the only thing that wins him this game is if he gets 3 energy, or 2 energy actually, because he'll be able to put 1 on next turn. So if he gets 2 energy, he can make a comeback. This is where I'm saying I threw with the Mew EX not putting it on. But fortunately for us, he gets super unlucky again. 3 tells, and this just checkmates us the game basically. As if he stays on Moltres next turn and tries to do it again, we just knock him out. And Charizard obviously can't attack us, and Arcanine, like I said, will come back in and just knock itself out. Or it won't do enough damage, and it gets so low that we just easily knock it out. But yeah, this is the checkmate scenario, and even though we misplayed, that Sabrina I feel like really helped us win the game. So just by doing that additional damage and on stuff, even though we don't knock out Charizard in the end, we just got super lucky with our Executor EX coin flips, and then our opponent just got super unlucky with their Moltres. So we just really had the luck factor on our side of this game. And yeah, that is how we won. So my 5th match was a standard Gyarados, Druddigon, Greninja deck. Nothing out of the ordinary, no Sabrinas, nothing really to worry about besides Gyarados. So this game just takes super long, so I cut a lot of the beginning stuff. Basically, I got Executor EX online pretty fast. I used the Sabrina because we don't want to attack Druddigon, because if we attack Druddigon, it puts us at 140 HP, obviously, and then obviously Gyarados EX does 140 HP, so we don't want to give them an instant knockout on our Executor EX. We get the lucky heads on Froakie, which actually does matter. And he puts Druddigon in, so we're in a state where like I can't really do anything, but he actually does swap in Gyarados with the Leaf. And basically, as long as Gyarados doesn't lose or like take away one of our energies on Bulbasaur, we are in a pretty good spot. We actually don't get the energy taken, so we evolve in the Ivysaur. Low key, what I should have done is swap into Mewtwo EX, just because if I did land a heads on Gyarados, I could easily just copy his ability and then one-shot it by then. Or not a head, but as long as I land a Tails, obviously won't guarantee the 40 damage. It puts that 140 HP, and then I could just copy his ability because most Gyarados don't run potions. Mewtwo EX, but I did misplay. But I had a Venusaur, so it was alright. He can't knock me out of 2 hits, and I'm going to do enough damage as long as I don't lose an energy to be able to knock it out. But the Mewtwo EX play would just be the guarantee win early on. But even though I still won, it's just something to think about. So now that I have Venusaur, I'm in a really good position. I have the Ericas in my hand. Attack this, and next turn, if he sends in Drudagon, I can one-shot it, and he still can't one-shot me. So I'm basically in like a checkmate position, unless he somehow lands this 4-coin flip on Magikarp, which spoilers, he doesn't. And I actually do win this game because like the situation I was talking about. There's just like really not anything he could do at this point. Yeah, so like I said, that's a good thing about Venusaur. Being able to one-shot Drudagon is very important, and then still having the amount of HP to live a Gyarados attack, even if he and the fun fact is, you can get hit by the Drudagon if you're at full health with Venusaur. You can get hit by a Drudagon and then Greninja and still live a Gyarados, as they usually don't run Giovanni's. So he puts the new Gyarados in, doesn't even have energy to attack anyways. So we just attack it. Eventually, obviously we knock it out because neither of them can attack him. He's already used both his Misties in this game. And even if he did, like, there's just no way for him to win. So we end up going 1-0 in the set. And after a super long grind game, so I just cut it out, bro. Basically, we have Venusaur set up very fast. He has Gyarados, but he actually has a Magikarp in the background, which is super annoying for us. And we only have 1 point because I believe we knocked out like a Drudagon. Yeah, we knocked out a Drudagon. So he just starts attacking us with the Greninjas. And we basically get weak enough to where the other thing, he just like come out and knock us out, bro. Like if he swaps into Greninja, he could just like swap back in and then knock us out, bro. So we're in like a just super bad spot. Because he has 5, actually he has 5 energy on that Gyarados, that's what it was. I couldn't really see because it's so small, but yeah, he had enough energy on the second Gyarados in the grind game where like he just swaps in and then we can't do we don't have enough damage basically. So now we're in a position where he has Gyarados out. We do not even threaten the knockout, bro, like anytime soon, because we only have 2 energy on Gyarados, and obviously an Executor Heads only does 80 damage. It's just a very poor game for us. I'm pretty sure we lost an energy on Venusaur at some point, and we don't even have a Sabrina, so we can't swap anything in the stall. And even if we did, Greninja just would retreat anyways for free because he already has 5 energy on Gyarados. He uses obviously the Shuriken to not get us like weak enough to knock out, and we lose the energy on Venusaur once again, just putting us in a terrible position. Basically, we can't even attack. So at that point, it's just checkmate, and that is my first loss of the tournament, going 1-2 against this person. And I play it out even though I know I lose, just trying to find some slimmer of hope, somehow hoping they somehow misplay. And obviously they don't. And like I said, we take our first loss to a Gyarados after going 4-0. Putting us at 4-1 in the tournament. And my 6th match was the exact same thing. It was the exact same Gyarados list. So basically we start first with Execute, which is good. We get the luckiest top deck of our life. We get Executor EX. This match is going to be really short because this match has to be like 8 minutes. As you're going to see soon, because Executor EX just decides to get a heads. And with now a Magikarp and like a Drudagon just in the back, I'm totally fine. And even if he does put something down, like we have the Sabrina, which obviously we see right here. And obviously Gyarados or Magikarp being at 30 HP guarantees us the knockout. And our opponent concedes just because like at that point it's basically game over. There's really nothing that we're just to be able to set up, and he has a Drudagon and he can't even attack off it. So same exact thing, dude. We hit Executor EX, we go first. We just put all of our stuff down, and Executor EX decides to once again get a heads. And basically just push us like really good in the game because he put the energy on Froggy Dare instead of Gyarados. So now we just easily set Gyarados or either Mew EX or Ivysaur in the back. I choose Mew EX obviously because I don't have Venusaur. I don't want to take the gamble. And we get another heads, and this basically just guarantees us the win. He can't attack off Gyarados. This gets the Misty, and by the time we have Mew EX set up, Executor EX will just have died or get knocked out, and we're have obviously at least 40 damage on it. No potions, so we are guaranteed the win at that point. Like I said, this was just a super fast game. There's really not much to say here. Our Executor EX luck was just crazy. And then he actually puts the Magikarp in the back, so we just Sabrina and get the early win, even though we would have easily knocked out the Gyarados either way. My 7th match was actually against another Pikachu EX deck. This one is only running 8 Pokemon, so the consistency of Pikachu is kind of lower than the usual. Zebstrika was something I'm not really worried about because I'm playing Venusaur. A lot of my stuff is tanky. Execute is kind of like vulnerable on the back line, but usually you evolve them in the Executor EX anyways. And yeah, the 2 Sabrinas was kind of scary. But once again, no red card, thank God. And yeah. So we start obviously our next match off playing another Pikachu, which I'm totally fine against because I'm very comfortable in this matchup with Venusaur. Although we do have a pretty rough start, only drawing Bulbasaur, even though we go second. So unless we draw something really good, we don't really have any option currently to do any damage. And I just felt very disrespected by this play personally. At Giovanni to do 30 damage with Peck, I don't get it personally. But maybe there is some like reasoning behind it, or maybe he just did it to do it. And we top deck Venusaur, and I'm in like the situation where like, okay, this is feeling so bad for us. So what I actually do is I X speed out and put Mew EX in, because basically what I'm thinking in my head is yeah, if I don't draw Ivysaur, I am so fucked. So I basically just potion up thing, so like if he puts in Zebstrika, he can't knock me out. And I literally am just praying to draw Ivysaur at this point. Exactly, he puts Zebstrika in. We have the Erica though, so it's totally fine. And I top deck a Professor Research, and I'm like, I gambled. I'm like, I need a Professor Research because if I do not draw the Ivysaur in this like turn, I am just gonna lose the game regardless. And I get the luckiest top deck, or like I get the luckiest 2 top decks of my life with Executor or Ivysaur and another Pokeball. And at this point, I really don't care what I get from the Pokeball because I'm basically not gonna put it in. I'm just gonna sweep with Venusaur. Yeah, and that's my whole like logic behind that play. And the reason I didn't put the Bulbasaur down in case of his Sabrina, because obviously if you look at his stuff, he didn't have any energy on like the Pikachu, so he wouldn't have been able to put Pikachu in the Sabrina and knock us out anyways. So I end up just building Venusaur fully up. I use the Erica just because if I draw the other one, I will be able to like use it on a different turn. And now next turn, Mew EX can swap out and we just start one-shotting or two-shotting everything they have. And like I said, I'm really not scared of Pikachu EX, but once Venusaur is online, just because I find Pikachu is really hard. It's like really hard to kill Venusaur with the Pikachu EX deck. Obviously, unless you get a super lucky Zapdos flip, but he doesn't even have Zapdos built up. So I'm just feeling like a super good position, especially with the Sabrina. I do get Sabrina in early though, which is super annoying for me. But now I don't have to waste the energy on Mew to swap out, I guess, which is something to think about. And I end up top decking Ivysaur, which doesn't do a single thing for me. But in my head, I was like, I might as well just set up another Venusaur or another Bulbasaur in the back in case I draw Venusaur at this point because I have the thing. And then obviously we have the second Erica, which is super good for us. Basically, it just hills up, not get knocked out by Pikachu EX, and we go back up to 160 HP. And basically, this Pikachu is forced to retreat, and because nothing else has energy besides Zebstrika, bro, I'm not threatened by all. He actually ends up keeping the Pikachu in, which is super good for us because we actually end up top decking Execute. So we're going to get the guaranteed knockout. We are still building a Venusaur in case we do drop Venusaur in the back, as Venusaur is better overall than Executor EX. But that top deck of Execute was actually crazy. So now once obviously Venusaur does get knocked out, we can just go into it if we don't draw Venusaur. And if we get lucky enough and he doesn't have another Pokemon to put down, this Pikachu won't be able to knock us out. So that Professor Research they had was super annoying because at that point I'm like, okay, well, they're guaranteed to have another basic Pokemon, which they obviously do because they just put it down. We are going to get guaranteed knocked out, and basically I have to gamble on drawing Venusaur EX in, so I put Ivysaur in. Or I'm going to put Ivysaur in, as you'll see in a second. And if I don't draw Venusaur, he has enough energy where I can just retreat anyways to put Executor EX in, and then at that point it just comes down to getting a lucky coin flip. And I basically just have to pray that Executor EX clutches the game up for us. Because if he doesn't, we are going to lose this game 1 of the set. And we don't top deck Venusaur, which means all of our energy goes away, so we're never going to be able to set a Venusaur again in this round. It all comes down to this mighty AEX. Does he get the heads coin flip that will guarantee us the game? He actually does. He provides, once again, doing good against Pikachu EX, unlike the very first game where he actually had a pretty bad showing against Pikachu, not landing a single heads in the very first game of the tournament. My opponent decides to use 2 potions basically to go for the 50-50. Do I land the heads or do I get the tails, and does he win? So it all comes down to the next coin flip. And I think this is probably the best thing he could have done because Zapdos didn't have any energy on it. I guess he could have swapped out, let Zapdos take a hit, and then swapped out again. Maybe, but at that point he wouldn't have even attack us actually. So yeah, this was the best way he could have done using the potions. And Execute actually provides, lands a second heads in a row, guarantees us the win after things were looking very bad for us. And we move on 1-0 in the set. So after having a really bad start in game 2, obviously Mew EX is one of the worst Pokemon in the Pikachu against the Pikachu EX matchup, as we can't copy Pikachu EX's ability, although it is pretty useful against Zapdos. So that is like one thing, but like drawing it on the first turn is not something you want to see. Thank God we top deck a Professor Research and get the literal best Professor Research we could have gotten in our life, getting both Execute and Executor EX. Not only did our opponent let us swap in for free, so we actually are able to attack with Executor EX next turn instead of waiting an extra turn to be able to swap on Mew EX. That Sabrina is just a huge misplay, and it literally gives us an opportunity to just win the game instantly if Executor can get a third heads in a row after the first game. And spoilers, he doesn't. But like, we're in such a good position that I don't even mind him. Like, that Sabrina was one of the biggest misplays I've seen in my life. And we have the Erica, so Executor EX uses the tank even more. And at this point, I'm like, okay, well, he doesn't have Pikachu EX and he's building up on Zapdos. I think what might happen later on in the game is I'm going to have to use Mew EX to copy Zapdos' ability. And we actually land the heads also on Substrike Up, basically making us guarantee to knock it out next turn, which is just super lucky for us. So once we get like the first knockout on Substrike, all we have to do is kill one more EX, obviously. Just puts us in such a good position. And we actually do get the second Execute, so I actually do put it down, obviously, as we have the second Executor. I still build Mew EX up just because I feel like Mew EX copying Zapdos' ability in the long run is just going to be more useful. Yeah, so he sends in Zapdos, goes for the coin flip, and he has to land 3 to knock us out, and he only lands 1. Super unfortunate for them. Um, Basically letting us have an even better chance at knocking this thing out. We do finally draw Bulbasaur, and we also have the whole Venusaur evolution line in our hand. So what I do is I choose to stack the energy. Like I'm like contemplating, like, do I stack the energy on Venusaur in case he gets super unlucky getting with Zapdos and we could possibly build it up eventually? But I think that at the end of the day, that really doesn't matter. I mean, we already have 2 energy on Mew, so we can just put Mew basically in whenever. So what I do is I just stack on Mew EX because I'm expecting Executor to die, and I didn't feel like wasting energies trying to stack Venusaur up. And Venusaur or obviously Executor does 40 damage, making it so we just need to land 2 heads on Zapdos by copying its ability if we even get knocked out this next turn. So once again, he's going for the Zapdos coin flip. And at this point, I'm kind of just hoping to get knocked out. Obviously, if I don't get knocked out, it's just like even more guaranteed win for us. But he does land the 2 heads. Executor EX goes down after having an amazing performance, doing so much work. And it is finally Mew EX's time to shine in a Pikachu matchup. Usually, I barely ever use Pikachu, like Mew EX, in this matchup. But as it was our only other option early game, we just had enough energy on it. And I stack up, I start stacking up Venusaur in case some weird coin flip shenanigans go down. But fortunately for us, Mew EX decides to clutch up and knock out Zapdos EX, giving us another win and propelling us even closer to top 16. So this 8th player was one of the ones I was the most worried about because Farfetch with a Giovanni just one-shots execute if it is in the active spot if he goes second. I was very worried about that, like the whole set playing this person. Just a really crazy aggro aggressive deck. And yeah, let's just see how it went. So this is actually the 8th round in the tournament. And at this point, I'm pretty sure I had enough points, so even if I lost this, I still would have made top 16 because actually after my last game, I actually ended up being the top seed so far because I had the best win ratio. So I'm pretty sure I was like guaranteed top 16 anyways, but obviously, I'm not trying to lose any unnecessary matches. And I don't have any Executor EXs, and I have the 2 Bulbasaurs with the Venusaur, so I get the super lucky top deck of Ivysaur, so I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna let Execute die and faint, build up Venusaur, and then our opponent has such a weird deck where like nothing is really scary. We kind of are just like guaranteed to one-shot everything with Venusaur, and because Venusaur is so tanky, I really could care less about Marshadow. So we actually have to put in the other Bulbasaur because Aerodactyl EX is online. And I'm kind of like praying for an X speed off this Professor Research. Just, get the max amount of damage from Venusaur. Unfortunately, we don't, so we have to waste your energy swapping it out. And also, we really, like, we're in such a, like, weird position. We can't, if we get Sabrina at all, we're just in such a bad position. But, like, thankfully for me, I drew the second Ivysaur, which means Aerodactyl EX itself would not be able to knock me out unless he had a Giovanni. Which obviously you can't do if you use Sabrina. So that second Ivysaur is actually so crucial to us being able to. And then we draw the XP. So for some reason, if we do get Sabrina, we can easily swap it out. We have the potion, basically just putting us back at full HP basically after knocking this Aerodactyl out. And then anything he puts out is not going to be able to one-shot us. And obviously Venusaur doing 100 damage one-shots all these squishy, like hyper-aggressive Pokemon he has. So I started the second game of this 8th match, with execute and executor EX. But in my mind, I am super scared of a Farfetch like swapping it with an X speed and then using a Giovanni. And so in my mind, I'm praying to draw another basic Pokemon, which I don't. So I'm like, oh my god, I'm actually gonna lose to this. But fortunately, he has Hitmonlee, so if he doesn't have that play, he can't really do anything to me. He actually had the Farfetch in the XP, just like I was literally thinking in my mind. And I'm not even saying this just because obviously I already know what happens. Like, that's literally what I was thinking in the game, I remember. Fortunately, he does not have the Giovanni, so we don't lose instantly. And we have Executor EX, and then we draw Bulbasaur, so we have the whole Venusaur line. So we can just start setting a Venusaur up after like Executor EX does as much as he can do. So we take 50 damage via Giovanni Farfetch'd. Like I said though, we just have the whole Venusaur line in the background, so and we use Erica just to stall even longer. But we're slowly build that up, and then by the time like we build Venusaur up and Executor goes down, there's not really much our opponent can do. Our opponent really cannot stop like Venusaur. Because obviously if we knock something out and then he attacks with Marshadow is 100, and we heal up so the other one can't even knock us out anyways. So Venusaur is just a very unfortunate matchup. I bet this guy did not expect to run into a Venusaur this high in the tournament. And with this win, we guarantee ourselves in top 16. Number 9 was once again a classic Gyarados EX deck. Literally nothing to say here. Is the same as the other three or other two I've already faced. So we're going second with a pretty bad hand. Obviously, if we can get execute off of this Pokeball, we have the X speed, which is just a really good position. And we actually get a Professor Research. And something I've actually been doing recently is using a Professor Research before the Pokeball, especially if I don't have a lot of basic Pokemon like already in my hand. I don't know, I just feel like there's always like good stuff on the top of the deck. I feel like and if I like do Pokeball before the Professor Research, I feel like I always draw garbage. I know it's literally does not mean anything, but it's just like a mental thing, I feel like, at the end of the day. But I only draw Bulbasaur, so I just started stacking Bulbasaur up. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, as long as he doesn't evolve these Gyaradoses, I can instantly use the edge speed and then knock one out of Bulbasaur, which is like the only option I really have at this point, as copying Mew EX or using Mew EX's ability this early really isn't going to do anything for us. Unless we like Sabrina in this Gyarados. And then I Professor Research, I get a guaranteed execute as I already have both the Bulbasaurs, which is nice as I obviously have Executor EX. I still have like the whole Venusaur line, so I'm just gonna go straight for Venusaur this match personally. And I do the play I was thinking of in the beginning of using the XP to swap in Bulbasaur just to get the guaranteed knockout on this Magikarp. Because once I get the guaranteed knockout, all I have to do is knock out this or Gyarados EX, which is the only thing obviously he has currently. And that is super easy as he doesn't have enough energy. So unless you get a super lucky like 2 Misty Flip, our like position to win this game is just super good. And someone I forgot to mention, this actually is our top 16 match. So winning this is what gives like makes us get in the top 8. So this is probably the most important match for me personally in the tournament, just because top 8 is what I'm trying to like get. Like top 8 was my goal for this tournament after doing so good, like Venusaur early, getting like the 5 wins. So we top deck an Erica, which obviously Erica is always useful later on. Obviously we're at full health. We put in Venus or Ivysaur. We do the 60 damage. And our opponent did not get lucky on the Misty Flip, so unless he has another Misty, we just evolve in the Venusaur, and at that point, we're just guaranteed the win. And this is exactly what I was talking about earlier in this thing, where even if we attack Druddigon when we're at full health, or even just missing 20 HP, Gyarados cannot come in and knock us out. And then obviously his Gyarados doesn't even have enough energy because he had to swap out. So we knock this thing out, and then Gyarados can attack, or we're just guaranteed the win at this point. And yeah, we go 1-0 pretty early in like the set. We get like a clean victory, I feel like, which is giving me like confidence to be able to make top 8. I feel like the Gyarados Venusaur matchup just takes so long that I cut a lot of the early games for some of these. But basically getting that heads on, they're not getting the heads on this thing was super bad. And now that I knocked this thing out too late, because now Gyarados comes in and like he doesn't one-shot me obviously, but we're in a situation now if Gyarados erases Mew's energy, we are just guaranteed the loss, because obviously we need to have the 3 energy, and then we need to have Gyarados take 40 damage to be able to knock it out. And he actually sends in Druddigon first, which I thought was kind of weird, but it just lets him stack up Gyarados more. And then we get into an end game where Gyarados comes out, and I made the huge mistake of putting an energy on Venusaur or Ivysaur, not even thinking, and we actually lose the energy on Mew. If we just put all the energy on Mew, we actually would have been guaranteed the win. Because now we're in the exact same scenario. If Mew loses the energy again, we are just straight screwed, and there's nothing we can do to win. So that is a huge misplay that I've done multiple times in this tournament, is splitting my energy between things when I should just full send it on one of my Pokemon, either Venusaur or Mew EX. And it is something I learned, which is nice from the tournament. Obviously making all these mistakes that cost me games. But Gyarados' attack, and we lose the energy on Mew once again. And at that point, there's literally nothing we could do. We put Venusaur in to try to stall. And there's literally nothing we could do, because we lose the energy for a 3rd time on Mew EX, and we don't have an X speed. So we're just, at this point, we just lose. Because you can just easily swap Gyarados back in for the other Gyarados. And yeah, it was just a fill is bad. It was just a straight misplay on my end. But like I said, I learned from it. And this so far the set ends up being 1-1. So I still have one more chance to be able to clutch out the game. After a super long grind game that I just straight cut out, I had Venusaur set up, but we just knock out Gyarados. It just lasted super long, and I just feel like there's no point in showing the early game because I've already played through Gyarados at this point. We all know. But I defeat this Gyarados. I end up making top 8 for the first time of my life with my favorite deck, and I'm pretty happy. But also I'm kind of nervous because I have to face 2. I'm in my bracket. I literally have to face 2 Charizards back to back. And number 10 is once again another Charizard Arcanine deck. This time only one Sabrina and a potion this time. Or I can't remember the other one had a potion. But you know, only one or only one Geo, I should say. No red card. Thankfully didn't get red card in the whole game, which is a really good card against my deck. So like I said, thank God I didn't play against it. And yeah, let's just see how the final match of the tournament went. Because obviously this is the final match and I didn't win, so this is my loss. So we start the game going second, and I do not have Executor EX, but I have a Professor Research and a draw obviously for my turn. So if I can actually get Executor EX, we are in a super good position basically, because we're going to need some lucky coin flips to be able to be another Moltres like we did earlier in the obviously earlier in the tournament. And our prophecy is fulfilled. We actually do get Executor EX, so I do some damage to Growlithe. And yeah. Our opponent gets a pretty good Moltres slip. Obviously 2 is just a good situation. Obviously 3 is like the best situation, but like just getting 2 is super good. Our Executor luck seems to be running out as we get a Tails on our first coin flip. That is not what I wanted to see. After another lucky Moltres slip, I am starting to be concerned about this match. Executor does land the heads, which guarantees Moltres to get knocked out next turn. And we do have Venusaur in the back that we're slowly building up, so we're not in the worst situation. He actually swaps in Venusaur, which I don't know if that was the right decision because he can't knock us out. And we're in a situation where like we do the 60 damage with Venusaur. And it puts him at 50 HP, so he won't be able to attack Executor EX because he'll get knocked out if he does, or if we just land the heads, we do knock him out. Not only that, but we have all the Ericas to heal up. So after choosing not to use the Erica because we would faint, which was actually a super misplay. I didn't use the Erica because like, okay, well, we would lose to an Arcanine attacking us anyways. But our opponent uses a Charmander, which I didn't even think of him using. Just straight sets us back really bad. I definitely would use the potion or Erica if I knew that situation was going to happen. I put down the second execute kind of just, I don't know, in case I ever need to go into a second one at this point. We do land the heads, knock out Charmander, but we're in a situation where like our opponent has Moltres, which is weak, Arcanine, which is weak, so he can't send either of those. So they send a Charizard or Charmander basically, because they don't have Charmeleon yet, thank God. We actually draw an X-Speed, so we can possibly swap out Executor EX if we need to. Executor clutches up after being in such a bad position, landing 2 heads. I'm sorry for talking shit to you early in the game, but now no matter what he sends in, he's kind of like guaranteed to lose. So after landing a couple more heads on another Moltres that comes in, our opponent forfeits, and we actually go 1-0 right now in top 8. We start game 2 off with a pretty bad hand of only Mew EX, but we are going second, which lets us kind of just like build up. I choose to just build up Mew EX because I was like, oh well, if I copy Moltres' ability twice, I can just knock him out. So I went with that play, even though I had Venusaur in my hand. So maybe stacking up Venusaur was the most optimal play. I don't really know. I kind of just chose Mew EX because I could swap out and then use it later on, because we'll still have 2 energies on it. And obviously Mew EX is super good against Charizard, which obviously I'm like the most scared about, as Charizard one-shots everything I have. But this Charizard is actually running a potion, so we actually can't knock out Moltres in 2 hits, which is very unfortunate for us. We do leave it at 20 HP, and we're slowly like stacking up Venusaur in the background, so once Mew EX needs to swap out, or potentially gets knocked out, we can do that. Fortunately for us, our opponent doesn't have the Giovanni to attack this Mew EX, so we are able to swap Mew EX out and have it like come back in a later like end game situation where like it might be good against Charizard. And the only thing we have stacked up is actually Venusaur, so I choose to just use the XP to make sure Mew EX has all the energy we need for an end game. Like I said, we put Venusaur in, even though we can only do the 60 attack, I still think it's worth it because I don't think Mew EX dying would be very good for us. And thankfully he doesn't even have a Charizard out yet, and he's in the same situation as last game where everything's kind of weak and he doesn't have a Charmeleon. Fortunately for us, he top 6 a Charmeleon, and not only that, he Sabrina's us. So I have to choose one thing to let die, and in my mind I was like, well, Executor EX, I mean, I can't just give him the 2 free points instantly, so I'm gonna have to let you take some damage and kind of hope I get a heads or something at this point to be able to knock out Executor EX. And if he choose, and as long as, and if I even don't knock him out, if I do it tells, he's at 10 HP, so if he attacks me and knocks us out, we knock out each other. And in my mind I was like, okay, as long as he doesn't have the Charizard in his hand, he won't be able to attack me and knock me out. And even if he does have the Charizard, he's gonna have to waste the 200 blast and discard the energy, so he won't be able to knock out like Mewtwo or like Venusaur coming in. So I use the Ericas and the stuff on Executor for that reason, because obviously the 70 damage or the 60 damage, like the Fire Slash would do 80 after weakness. So I'm kind of just like banking on him not having a Giovanni. And he of course has the Charizard because he's like 20 cards in his hand, and they actually have the Giovanni, so all those potions were for nothing. And now I'm in a position where I'm guaranteed the knockout because Mew EX comes in, one-shots Charizard EX. Arcanine can tie with us is what I was kind of hoping for. But you actually see our opponent puts in another Charmander. So that is actually 2 KOs with Charmander our opponent gets throughout this top 8. So we just get super unfortunate that he actually had the Charmander in his hand. And I don't know what I would do differently about this match. I think this match, like specifically, I think our opponent just had like the better RNG and the better like luck. He just kind of outplayed us more. I'm not really too sure what else I could have done. But that is game 2, putting me at 1-1 in top 8. And now I'm starting to get stressed out. I'm like, well, shit. I really need to clutch up this last game and get super lucky. So after starting another game with BBX, I was like, shit, man. Thank God I actually get execute from a Pokeball, and I have obviously Executor. So next turn I can swap into Executor EX and hopefully knock something out. And our opponent X speeds, or he X speeds out, puts in Moltres, goes for the Moltres flip, classic fire deck stuff. I'm just kind of praying he gets unlucky. And they actually do get unlucky. And so I'm like, okay, Executor EX, please land a hedge or something. I actually top deck Sabrina. And you already know what I'm going to do, bro. Once I drew that Sabrina, I had to go for it. I think it would honestly just catapult the win, as Arcanine Charizard decks only play 1 Growlithe. If I could remove Growlithe from the situation, the chance of me winning is just exponentially higher, bro. I feel like I used that word wrong, bro, but I at this point I don't care. This live commentary kind of sucks, bro, but I'm just yapping. Executor EX has clutched so many games for us. He's out of juice. I think that coin flip actually lost us the game, or is one of the reasons we lost this game. And this is the second spot I lost the game. I actually had the full Venusaur line in my hand, and I was debating on whether going into Mew EX or Venusaur. If I actually went with Venusaur, I would have won this game. But for some reason, my heart was telling me Mew is really good in the Charizard, so let's just go with Mew. 100% was the worst mistake. Like that, this single-handedly actually lost me the tournament. If I went into Venusaur, I would have made top 4. So this is the most important misplay of the whole tournament for me. And it's something I realized straight after the match, and even in the middle of the match, I was thinking of this. And I don't really have any edits at this point because this is the final game and obviously the final round. So I kind of just left this whole round basically unedited for the most part. And basically just a showcase. And I'll basically come back and do some live commentary when we actually get to the point where having the Venusaur set up over the Mew actually would have won me the game. So we are back. We get a knockout on one of the Moltres with Executive EX, just getting superb luck. And literally, if I had put all the stuff on Venusaur, he'd never evolved in the Charizard. I would have been able to just one-shot the Charmeleon and win. But because I put it on Mew and he didn't evolve in the Charizard, there's literally nothing I could have done. Got on the opponent because he actually does have Charizard in his hand. He just knows not to put it down because obviously he will lose. And at this point, I just know I lost. And it's just such an unfortunate situation. I didn't believe in Venusaur in the very last game. I just went with Mew for some reason, even though I should just went with Venusaur, obviously, as I'm playing the Venusaur deck. I get the head flip, but Charizard comes in, obliterates Egg EX, and we lose, ending my tournament run in top 8. And I ended up 6 overall because obviously how the point system works in like card games, I'm not too sure. I'm used to like fighting game stuff. So in my mind, I thought I just made 8th, but I guess I overall made 6 just because of my win ratio or something. And the points. But super unfortunate that I misplayed, but it is what it is. I learned a lot, and I still made top 8. I'm still pretty proud of my placement, and that is a tournament. So now that we saw my journey and how I ended up at 6th place, first off, if you guys actually watched the video, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have a good day. And just a fun fact, so far I am actually the highest placing Venusaur after the addition of the A1 pack until someone eventually beats me who is better at the game. Not cocky or anything, not trying to claim like I'm the best Venusaur player ever. I decided something cool as of now until someone eventually gets a better placing in like a week. So there's that. Anyways, like I said earlier, peace out and have a nice day.